Hi everyone! Today we are making a light and fluffy vanilla sponge cupcakes. This is my favorite vanilla cupcake recipe, perfect for any occasion, and you can customize it to your taste by choosing your own frosting. These cupcakes are delicate but stable enough to hold the frosting, soft and moist but not too crumbly, not too sweet and not heavy. I hope you will enjoy the recipe. We will start by making the roux for the boiled milk frosting, so it has time to cool. In a medium bowl, whisk the flour and salt into the milk until smooth. Strain this mixture to the non-stick pan. You don't want any lumps in your frosting. Cook over medium-high heat. The mixture will gradually thicken. Stir constantly until very thick and bubbling for about 3 minutes. It is important to stir the mixture constantly during cooking, otherwise the bottom will burn. Once it's done, strain the mixture through a fine sieve into a shallow heat-proof dish. Place a piece of plastic wrap directly on the surface to prevent a skin forming. And let the roux cool completely to room temperature. This will take about 2 hours. Meanwhile, we can work on the cupcake batter. Making soft vanilla sponge cupcake without chemical leavening agents is very possible. The rise occurs because the eggs are beaten properly and the folding is done carefully. Make sure all utensils clean and grease-free. Any residue of fat will prevent egg whites from beating up properly. The acid in lemon juice or vinegar help remove grease. Line 12 cup muffin tins with paper liners. Remember to preheat the oven before starting. Don't let the batter sit for too long, especially if the batter does not use any raising agents at all. There's a risk that the batter will deflate. It is important to use fresh room temperature eggs. They will whip better and hold more air. When eggs are cold, they will be difficult to expand. To know how fresh your eggs is, when you crack it on a flat plate, the yolk will stand proud from the white, and you will see that the white is a solid ring with only a small amount of clear white liquid around it. If the egg white is runny and the yolk is flat, the eggs is no longer fresh. Eggs are easier to separate when cold, so this is when you take them out of the fridge and let them come to room temperature. Prepare the wet ingredients in advance. Mix the milk with vegetable oil, maple syrup, and vanilla extract. Set aside. We will start by beating the egg whites over high speed for about 30 seconds until foamy. You can add lemon juice, white vinegar, or cream of tartar. This acid will help stabilizing the egg whites. Continue beating for another 30 seconds. Then I will add the sugar in 3 batches every 30 seconds. Once all the sugar is added, continue beating on high speed until stiff baked for about 3 to 5 minutes. The mixture will gradually thicken and look shiny. You can see the tip is pointed like this. It's called a stiff peak. That's what we are looking for. Now I will pour in the egg yolks. Using a hand whisk, stir gently until evenly mixed. Add sifted dry ingredients in 2 batches. Then skip this process. By sifting the flour, it will break up any lumps, create a light, delicate, and fluffier results. Stir gently. Make sure that you scrape the entire surface of the bowl so there's no flour residue on the sides and bottom of the bowl. Mix each batches evenly until there are no lumps. Now, I'm going to mix about 1 cup of this egg mixture into the wet ingredients. By using this premix method, it prevents the oil and milk from falling directly to the bottom of the bowl, which will cause the cake didn't rise properly. Pour this mixture back to the egg mixture and stir gently. Don't mix too hard, just make sure the mixture is well blended. Then using a spatula, scrub all the bottom and sides of the bowl. Make sure it's evenly mixed. The batter should be thick but flowing like this. If the batter looks runny, it means you are over-mixing it and the cupcakes won't rise properly. Evenly scoop the batter into prepared muffin cups. Using a skewer, make this circular motion to flatten the batter and break the large bubbles. Bake in the preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 23 minutes. Resist the urge to bake until your cake is done. This can lead to the cake being too damp in the middle or even falling. Once baked, tap the pan on the counter 3 times. This will prevent the cupcakes from shrinking or deflating when they cool. And then, immediately transfer to a cooling rack to cool completely. For the frosting, room temperature butter is essential for proper mixing as it traps air and produces a light fluffy frosting. This means the butter is softened until it's pliable but still holds its shape rather than melting or becoming too soft. And when you press it with your finger, it should leave an indentation without being oily or greasy. I usually take the butter out of the fridge 30 minutes before I start whipping the frosting. Once the dough has completely cooled, we can start beating the butter on medium speed for 1 minute until smooth and creamy. Add the icing sugar and vanilla extract. Continue beating for 1 minute. Scraping down the sides and bottom of the bowl occasionally until all the sugar has been incorporated. Now I will pour the room temperature roux. Continue mixing. It may look curdling at first. Keep mixing on medium-high speed for about 3 to 5 minutes. The frosting will become very smooth, light and fluffy. If you find the frosting is too soft to pipe, You can place it in the fridge for about 30 minutes and it will firm up a bit to a nice consistency. Boiled milk frosting is an old school buttercream that is not too sweet, not too buttery, and not too heavy. My version with icing sugar is more stable at room temperature. This beautiful frosting also easy to color, and you can create any flavor you want simply by adding some liquors, flavor oils or emulsions, extracts, or even dried fruit powder. I always flavor my frosting by adding a little at a time and tasting it as I go. Start with 1/2 teaspoon of extract or emulsion and taste. Be careful with strong extracts like almond and mint. I suggest starting with 1/8 teaspoon so the flavor doesn't get too strong. For my cupcakes, I will mix pink color with some dried raspberry powder, turquoise with almond extract, and lime green with mint oil. This fashion ball tip creates beautiful ruffles. Starting in the center of the cupcake, squeeze frosting from the nozzle and twist it back and forth, lifting the nozzle slightly as you go. Get creative with your own designs. And finish with colorful confetti sprinkles. So pretty! Everyone's got their own idea of what the perfect vanilla cupcake should taste like. What makes this cupcake special for me is because it's light, not heavy, and just the right amount of sweet. It's the kind of vanilla sponge that pairs beautifully with whatever you like. Whether you're adding frosting, berries, or enjoying it plain, they stay wonderfully moist for days and have a deep vanilla flavor. The frosting is a beautiful old school classic. It's incredibly smooth and creamy, but not overly sweet, with a soft airy texture that melts in your mouth. It means a lot that you spend some time with me today. These cupcakes always makes me smile, and I hope they bring a little joy to your kitchen too.